greenhouse is looking a bit bare at the moment. That's the lemon, the Apache chilies and the Scotch bonnet. Might pick all those Apache and freeze them. I've just taken all my tomatoes out of the greenhouse. I've removed as much fruit as was viable. Most of it's green, so that can ripen up in the kitchen. And I'm left with all this basil now. I've done a load of cuttings which have been sitting in water for a few weeks, which have all rooted, which I can pot up. But these I'm going to remove the best leaves and put them in my dehydrator. So this is all my basil leaves. So I've put them on for 4 hours to see how they get on. And if they're not dried in 4 hours, then I can just keep adding an hour. But, oh, smells divine. So these are the last of the greenhouse tomatoes. And I've just picked these peppers. I've got one more tomato plant that's actually growing out in the garden. And to be honest with you, I think the results have been better. So although I tend to grow my tomatoes indoors, I think next year I may actually grow more outdoors. I've just taken the basil leaves out of the dehydrator. And you can see they sound all crispy. So I'm going to put them in this bag and then crush them up. And dried basil. Pot, home dried basil. I don't know if you could see in the background, but my fridge freezer's in the middle of the kitchen because I got a new one today. Oh, I just love it. There's something you have to consider when you grow your own fruit and vegetables is how you're going to store your harvest. Some of it obviously you're going to be eating directly. Some of it you want to store for later. So you can either blanch and freeze, which I do quite a lot of, for things like beans and sweet corn. Potatoes you harden off and you store in a dark place. I also like to dry my herbs, and I've just shown you how I dried the basil in my dehydrator. So because of these considerations, you need good storage space. My old fridge freezer that was in the kitchen was 20 years old, and because that's old technology, the motor was quite big and it encroached on the freezer space. So although from the outside it looked like it was quite a good size freezer cabinet, when you open it there actually wasn't an awful lot of space for storage, and it used to get crammed very, very quickly. And because of that, I got myself a chest freezer which went in the shed, but that's now about 15 years old and is not working correctly. It just keeps icing up all the time so badly that you can't shut the lid properly. And because I'm short and there's no shelves inside, it's really difficult to reach stuff when you have to rummage right the way through to the bottom if you want something. So hence why I've replaced the fridge freezer in the kitchen with a new one. It's got huge capacity compared to what the old one had, and then the chest freezer that is in the shed is going to be replaced by an upright freezer with shelves, which will be much more practical for me. It'll take up less floor space in the shed, and it'll be easier for me to find items. So I'm all about the storage at the moment, so hence why I had my old fridge freezer bang in the middle of the kitchen, and when that's gone I shall jump for joy to get some space back. But oh my goodness, was it a job trying to defrost it. It was horrible, whereas the new one is frost free, so I've never got to do that job again. Something else I hadn't plotted on my new plans is where I'm going to move the compost bin, but I made a decision yesterday and it's going to go here. It's tucked away, but it'll get plenty of warmth and sunlight. It's going to be next to the climbing rose, and then where the rhubarb is, right up to the corner and along part way back fence is going to be an edged bed for all my fruit and cordon trees. So I find myself once again emptying the compost bin. Last time was in April, when I was surprised by a mouse, but also some fantastic compost. But I emptied it last time to repair it and repaint it. This time it's being moved from this position to the other side of that chimney pot, so I've made good progress already emptying most of it. So I've got all this here. I've got a little bit left to do, so I'm just going to empty that last bit and then move it to its new position. Well, that fits there nicely, and have a look at this. This is beautiful. Look at that. It does need sieving, because where it was before, it was standing on a slab, but the slab wasn't as big as the base of the bin, so there was gravel all around it, and as I've scraped up the compost to move it, I've taken in a load of gravel, so that's why it'll have to be sieved. But I don't want to use it yet until I've got the new bed, so I'm just putting it all back in there for now. So I'm just going to do the last bit and then put the lid on. Okay, so that's another job done. I think that's going to look alright there, to be honest. But I've now got to tidy up this corner, and I'm going to cut back some of that loganberry. So I'm not entirely sure whether you can see, but because now what are they called? The rails are all cracked and rotten in the middle, the whole fence is dipping down. Sort of the top line has got a bow in it. It's also very unstable, and the only thing holding it up is the old fruit cage frame. So there's quite a lot of work to be done. And then behind the summer house, I keep cutting back this elder, but it just comes back with a vengeance. I mean, the roots are so established now underneath the summer house, so that's something that will be dug out when the summer house is moved and the fence is replaced, so that'll all be clean. And the same this side. The rails are rotten in the middle, they're cracking, and so it's dipping right down in the centre, so all that section is going to be replaced. This will be replaced. All of that length, and then the section behind the summer house, so that'll all be new. So next year when I'm sitting in my summer house, this is going to be my main view. So that's going to be a bit of a change, but I won't feel so overlooked, which would be nice. And you can see how much sunshine is on that side of the garden even this time of year, so that's why the summer house has got to be moved. And then here I'll lift all these slabs, completely level it, and create a new patio area. And I'm hoping at some point to be able to put in a pergola over the top. So yeah, I'm very motivated, but for now I'm just going to enjoy today's sunshine, and I'll see you all again in my next video.